Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we are going to make what is essentially a chicken kabsa. I'm doing a modified version of a chicken kabsa. This is a dish that I've eaten in a lot of different restaurants. And what I found is that there's chicken and rice cooked together in one pot with a bunch of flavorful spices. And the spices often contain a lot of the same things, but each chef makes it a little bit differently and adds their own special touch to it. And I have to imagine that that every home cook does the same thing. They add their own little special touch to it. And the same with the vegetables. It will always have tomatoes. It will always have onion. But it doesn't always have pepper, and it doesn't always have parsley. Now, let's get right into it. So, first thing I've got here are some cardamom pods. I've got some cumin, coriander, pepper, turmeric, paprika, and cloves. Now, some of those were already ground and some of them weren't. So I'm just going to mash them up in a mortar and pestle, make sure they're all completely ground up. There is one ingredient that pretty much every chicken kabsa I've had in it that I cook with. It's a dried lime, and you can find a bunch of recipes on the channel going back where I've used dried limes, and I really like them in all of those dishes. But in this dish, I just don't like it. There's something about it in this dish that I just don't like. So I'm not someone who will suffer to make something authentic. If I don't like it in it, I'll just leave it out. But I would suggest that if you've never had dried lime, you might want to give it a shot in this dish. So I'm going to salt in the chicken. Now, I've got this spice mix. I'm only going to use about half of it with the chicken. So I'm going to sprinkle some in, I'll turn the chicken over, and I'll sprinkle some more in. The rest I'm going to save until we put the rice in the pot. Give this a mix. Best way is with your hands, but I'm working alone today, so I'm going to use tongs. But I would suggest that you definitely get in there with your hands and get it all rubbed in and make sure that it's good. Okay. Don't cover it all. Don't worry. We're going to be cooking it in the pot. The flavor is going to permeate through. So I'm going to heat up this heavy cast iron. This is a brazier. It has a heavy lid. You need something with a heavy, tight sealing lid because we're going to be cooking rice in this pot and you want to control evaporation. So I'm going to put some oil in. This is grape seed oil. Ghee would be traditional. Ghee is probably what you should use. I'm going to put this on sort of a medium-high heat, get this hot, and then we'll brown off these chicken thighs. Okay, the chicken's looking good. You just want to get a little bit of browning and color on the outside of the chicken. The biggest part of this process, though, is getting some flavor in the bottom of the pan. Chicken, browning, all of those spices toasted in the bottom of the pan. That's really what you're looking for. So, all right, so in the bottom of this pan is some great flavor. Now we're going to put in a diced up red pepper and a couple of onions. And we'll just saute that off a little bit. Scrape up the fond on the bottom of the pan there. And a metal spoon in an enameled pan. Not going to hurt it. I've had this pan for, 15 years. I use a metal spoon and metal tongs in it all the time. Same with all of my other enameled cast iron. I've never had a problem. I've never had any chipping. I've never had any cracking. I've never had any marks. So, I don't know why people tell you that, but I've never had a problem. So I'm going to keep using them. Now, those have softened up a little bit. So I've got some garlic cloves. And garlic cloves are one of those things that are to taste. So if you really like garlic, put in a bunch. If you don't like garlic, all that much, maybe only put in 1 or 2. I'm going to put in 3 because for my tastes in this dish, that's about right for me. So just crush those in. And I've got a cinnamon stick that goes in, and I've got 2 bay leaves. Now these are Indian bay leaves. They're a slightly different shape than the Turkish bay leaves that you normally see. Slightly different flavor profile, but close enough. Close enough that I use both almost interchangeably. Okay, that's smelling really good. Now, the rest of the spice mix, that goes in. I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of salt. Give this a stir. Put in a couple of diced tomatoes. I had some fresh tomatoes that I diced up. Canned tomatoes are just fine. Wonderful in this dish. Just plop the whole can in, the juice and everything. So give that a bit of a stir. I've got this on kind of a medium-high heat. At this point, I'm going to put in basmati rice. I think basmati rice is the rice that you want to use for this dish, but again, use what you have. Really, use what you have. But I think basmati is going to give you the best texture that you're looking for with this. But a jasmine rice is going to bring an incredible amount of flavor and really good flavor as well. So I'll stir that in. And we'll get the rice coated with the oil and all of the spice mixture. Now, chicken stock. Parsley. And I'll give that another bit of a stir. And then the chicken goes back on top. Now, once I get the chicken in here, I'm going to put the cover on and stick it in the oven. You could continue to cook it on your stovetop. Bring it to a boil and then reduce temperature to a simmer. Keep it covered and go for, about 20 or 25 minutes until the rice is cooked. The chicken should be cooked at the same point, but I would always check that with the thermometer and just make sure. But I have my oven preheated today. I had something else cooking in there this morning. It was at 425, so I've just left it on, and I'm going to put this in the oven for 25 minutes because it's a little bit easier for me. I can then clean up this mess in the kitchen and cook something else. So into the oven, 425. I'd say 20 to 30 minutes. I check it at the 15-minute point and see how it looks. And depending on the lid on your brazier or the pot or whatever it is you're cooking it with, you may need to add a little bit more liquid. You have to be an active participant.
Oh, here, Glenn, let me give you a hand there.
Oh, thank you.
This is me. I'm helping. Ha. Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
So,
Ooh,
chicken and rice.
I like chicken and rice.
Look at that. That's a good looking dish.
There's so many versions of chicken and rice.
Okay, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of fresh parsley on top.
Oh, with such flourish.
Well, try. Oh. I'll break that up a little bit. Okay.
That was destined not to work.
And so we'll get a scoop of rice.
That's very pretty.
And a piece of chicken.
Oh, and there's the bay leaf.
There you go. I'll get rid of that bay leaf.
There's the bay.
Okay, it's gone.
All right.
Now, a knife for the chicken. Let's see. So this
Can you
is...
reach that okay?
Pardon me?
Can you reach that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
There's some big flavor in this rice, I would imagine. Mm-hmm.
That's really nice.
Makes-
Very, very smooth flavor.
Yeah. Put a little bit too much chicken stock in. One of the things that I realize as I make this is the tomatoes and the pepper and all of those
All add
things.
liquids.
All add liquids. And it's hard to decipher how much liquid is there. So as a general rule of thumb, I should have cut back on the liquid at the beginning because the rice is a little bit mushy for my liking. It's still really good, just a little bit mushy.
Sometimes you just have to accept those surprises.
Yeah. And as you make the dish over and over and over again, you'll kind of get used to that. Now, chicken. It's a braised chicken.
Yep, so it should be moist.
Yeah.
Oh, what a mess. Forget it. There we go.
One pan chicken. So easy. Not a whole lot that went into that. Finish it in the oven. Watch your liquids. Play around with some of the vegetables that you put in it. Play around with the spices. Go on the internet. Look at dozens of different recipes for this and then sort of tailor the spicing to the flavors that you like.
Well, that's it. I mean, chicken and rice, there's so many versions of it.
Yeah. I mean, we do a basic version of this with a more Canadian flair, and we put the wild rice in it.
Yes.
And that's fantastic. I really like that. So you can play with this a lot. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.